Hey there, it's Trisha with Easy E-mini Trade, and I just want to do a short video and show you how you can incorporate using the order flow chart or footprint chart, whatever you're currently using. And I'm going to do a webinar on it next Wednesday on July 24th at 4:30 p.m. Eastern. If you're interested, just go to my site and click on the tab at the top of the page about the upcoming webinar info. So with that said, let me just show you how you can use that chart to your advantage. Okay, so this is a 15-minute chart, and so earlier today did the analysis based on some areas that I'd be interested in taking a possible breakdown, and one of them being if you're not aware of how I take my breakdowns or breakouts, I'm not going to go into it in too much detail right now, but I will repost some of the old webinar recordings and make them available to you guys in the next couple days. And then if you want to check them out, you can. But for now, I'm looking for a big bottoming tail or a big topping tail that price has not traded through yet. So this was earlier this morning. Wasn't quite interested here yet, but I had one from yesterday over here, and you can see it right here. We have this bottoming tail. So what I'm looking for is a big bottoming tail at a support area, for example, and I want the body of the candle in this case pushed up to the upper third of the bar. Reason being is that if buyers keep stepping up in this area as they did yesterday, then likely the buyers are going to step up there again today. And where are they going to put their stops? Likely under this area. So in looking at that, we're anticipating some stops getting hit. Now, at the time today when that happened, it was the low of the day. And at the time, we didn't really have a whole lot of momentum in either direction. It had finally started to move just before lunch. So right here, this is going from 11:30 to 11:45. So, attempted to move lower. This is the area where I'm looking for the breakdown from back here. So under 61.25. And then I also have one here, not here off the 15-minute, but if you look here on my 30-minute, I've got that tail right there also from yesterday. So I'm looking at both those areas for a possible breakdown. So how do we know that it's going to actually follow through and trigger some stops and not just hit that area and bounce? So a couple things we can do is, you can wait for it to attempt to get through and fail and then get in. But if we've got opening in volume areas, then we can look to take those trades. So you can see I've got the volume profiles on each of these days, right? And so if you look here under the break of this candle here, we've accumulated some volume now below us, but at the time we didn't have any today because that at the time was low of the day. Either of those were low. Both of these were low of the day where I have these pink horizontal lines drawn. And then you can see that we've got some volume here on the 30-minute from yesterday. It's where it kind of got heavier, and I'll just mark that for you so you can see it. So it's around 55.50. But if we look at the bigger chart, like say a 60-minute, this gives me the volume for the week. And then I've got the volume from last week on here as well. So I've got a week's worth. This is this week. This whole area here is last week. So I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, if it breaks this area of 61.25 or this 57.75 area, I've got some room below based on this week where I don't have high volume areas until approximately right here at 50.75. And if you look at last week, that's about where the high volume area picks up as well. So if you take this as a breakdown, this would be the next likely area where you'd expect a reaction or price to struggle to get through just because of the high volume area. So in looking at that, if you use a footprint chart, you can get an idea of what's going on. So these are those areas that I just talked about, the 61.25 and then the 57.75 spot. This footprint chart is for NinjaTrader 8, and this is through MZPAC. If you use NinjaTrader 8, you can use the volumetric bars and do perfectly fine with those. I like this because it gives me the summary on each bar. I have this on a 1-minute chart. You can put it on whatever you want. And then I've got the high volume areas marked in yellow, and then where you've got the green outlines or the red outlines. Green is where the buyers are being absorbed, and the red is where the sellers are being absorbed. So I want to see what's going on into that first area here. Now, the charts that I just showed you are on a 15, a 30, and a 60-minute. You can take the entry for those breakdowns on any size chart. It doesn't have to be a large chart. You can use your range chart or tick chart. But what I want to see is, I want to see volume increasing at this area of 61 and a quarter, which you can see it happened at that time, right? You can see these yellow, all on this yellow on the left side here, that's the sellers, the right side's the buyers. And where you see the bright yellow here, that is basically telling me that there's sell imbalance at each of these price levels. So basically I'm using 70% ratio. So if I have 70% more sellers, it's going to mark it yellow. If I have 70% more buyers, it's going to mark it green. And these are read on a diagonal. So what I like about the MZ pack is it gives me the summary here, and you can see up here at the top, it's telling me what the delta was at the time, -505. The volume on the entire bar was 1879. And then here you'll see 63.44 and 36.56. This is telling me that I have an imbalance to the downside with the 63.44. Now, obviously, you're looking at this and it's static right now because I've scrolled back. So you have to basically interpret it as it's happening. And really, the footprint chart, order flow, etc., whatever you want to call it, is really only valuable at reference areas because it's changing so fast. So you're not going to be able to decipher every single level of price and decide to take an entry based on each level that you're looking at just on your footprint chart. So we're looking at areas. So I want to see that sellers are coming in here if I'm going to take the breakdown. As you can see, we do. And so it's coming into the low of the day. This is a brand new low of the day at the time. And so if this is going to continue through, we're going to have to see the sellers step up down here at the end of this candle at the low of the day. You can see the highest volume area here is 156 sellers over here. And down at the bottom, you can see that they're decreasing, decreasing, decreasing. So that's a heads up that it's probably going to retrace just a little bit. Doesn't mean it's going to completely change direction. So you're just going to be a little bit patient and anticipate it at least trading to the next support area, which, you know, in this case, using our analysis for the bottoming tail would be the 57.75 area. And then the next 1 minute candle, you can see it's pretty balanced here, not much difference between the orders coming in at the bid or the ask. And then the next candle here, you can see it turns into a big topping tail here, right? Excuse me, bottoming tail with the body at the top of the candle here, up in the upper third. So it can't go higher and it can't go lower. Obviously it can, but it didn't. So you can see on the right side here, we didn't get a huge number of influx of buyers coming in up here. And then down here at the low of the day here, because of course this gave us a new low of the day, we didn't get a huge influx of sellers coming in here, but we still do have that imbalance to the downside here, 57.67 to 42. So it's still holding this general area right on this candle. And then on this candle here, as it starts to move lower, it breaks down under this 57.86 area. But if this is going to, again, continue lower without a retracement, we're going to have to see more orders coming in on the left side here than the right. And you can see that they decrease as we're getting to the low of the day. So once again, that's going to be an indication that it's probably going to bounce. So you have a decision to make, take it off, you know, with this much profit, you know, down here at the 55 vicinity from your 61 and a quarter entry, or you wait it out to see if it's going to go down there. If you're taking the trades based on topping tails and bottoming tails and anticipating people's stops getting hit, then realistically, once it gives a quick rush through, it's going to retrace, especially, you know, if it's the low of the day. So that's just something that you can anticipate. And then you can see when we get this retracement up here, I've got these yellow orders over here, and these are filled orders, right? On the footprint, they're always filled orders. And if I get 4 levels of imbalance on one side or the other, it's going to mark it for me. And so the reason that I like that is because if price retraces, this would likely be the area that it retraces to, because I've had, 4 levels of sell imbalance. So realistically, you'd expect that to hold, at least initially. So it retraces, it does hold. Now the thing is if you're looking at this on the 1 minute or a 5 minute, you can see we get this big bottoming tail here again. So it's like, once again, you're getting another opportunity to attempt another breakdown in this area of 55.25. So how do we know we want to attempt it? We would look ahead at our area of support, and I always use a 15-minute for that. But in this instance, we'll just use the market profile line here. And so this is the second deviation away from fair value. So likely price you would expect to react there. So as price is breaking this 55.25 area again, you can see that we're getting an influx of sellers again, sellers, 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 a bunch of sellers coming in here with an imbalance, right? And then it retraces a little bit, and then as it comes to the low of the day again, we're not getting any big numbers in that general area here or here. So you can trail your stop and then anticipate once it attempts lower again that you're going to get another influx of sellers, and you can just trail your stop, right? So if this is going to keep going lower, we want to keep seeing the sellers coming in on the left side. So what that means to us is we want to see big negative delta, right? And you can see the summary on each of these candles. And then once it gets to support, if you're not seeing the sellers coming in, then you're likely going to get a bounce. So here you could see we get these red boxes here. Here's a red box. Here's a red box on a couple of these bars here. And that's telling us that those sell orders are being absorbed by the buyers. And so here where you see, 69, and then you see 135, then you see 49, and then 9, right? That's giving us the impression that this is going to struggle at this low of the day, at least initially, until we can get more sellers stepping up in that area, right? And so next bar starts, we come into that same area again. The low of the day at the time would have been right here. Then you get big influx of sell imbalance, sell imbalance, sell imbalance, sell imbalance. And again, more on the left side than the right, more sellers coming in. And so you're always looking at where is price likely to react and where are the orders coming in reference to that reaction area. And if you just focus on that instead of every single price level, it's going to be beneficial in the fact that you can see who's in charge at that area. And then always looking at that delta, is it positive or negative? Is it getting bigger? Is it getting smaller? So again, always in reference to price areas, what is going on with the overall picture. So it takes a little bit of practice, and the mistake that, I don't want to say the mistake, but the challenge for most traders looking at the footprint chart is they think that they should be able to look at it and just take trades based on the footprint chart. And I'm not saying there isn't anybody out there that can do it, that can't do it or can do it. I'm just saying for me, it's a lot easier to be paying attention to the reference areas and the order flow at that particular time, as opposed to trying to look at every single level. Because when we have a lot of volume coming in, it's, in my opinion, nearly impossible to decipher it because the orders are coming in so fast. Okay, so I hope that you find that helpful. If you want more info, you definitely would love to see you come to the webinar next Wednesday. I'll try to do a couple more videos. And like I said, it just takes some practice, and you can use it as confirmation for any of the trades that you're getting to take, that you're wanting to take, or in the areas that you're wanting to take. Okay, you guys, have a great day, and I'll chat with you all later.